Directly from Senn High School Studio 231, this is Senn TV Season 3. Starring Cassandra Cabrera, Cameron Fleener, Hassan Gordon, Kendall Jackson Jr., Philip Johnson White, Bill Siddiqui, Paula Trejo, Kayla Williams, and featuring the members of our broadcast journalism wonders.
In this episode, we will take a look at a recap of the honor roll ceremony, SennTV and digital journalism program visiting Loyola, and Miss Beck discussing the Parkland shooting, and many other stories. Let's turn it over to our anchors, Philip Johnson White, Hassan Gordon.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Action!
Hello everyone, my name is Hassan Gordon, hoping that the video is actually recording for once.
And my name is Philip Johnson White, and welcome back to SennTV. For our lead story, let's take a look at the honor roll ceremony that recently took place in Senn Hall, shining light on sophomores, juniors, and seniors who showed their academic prowess.
Senn had its very first honor roll assembly on February 14th since Miss Beck's arrival, to celebrate all of our academic achievements throughout the first semester. A wide variety of students received recognition across every program. So, without further ado,
Welcome to your first annual Semester 1 Honor Roll ceremony. Give yourselves a hand.
Miss Beck was proud to announce the first award ceremony we've had in 3 years. She even went as far as to throw in some bonuses by providing pizza and some special pins for everyone who walked across the stage. The audience loved some of the creative walks across the stage by some of Senn's biggest personalities. Even some of our very own here at Senn TV were honored. Congratulations to everyone who walked across the stage, and here's hoping we see even more students next year.
Senn's journalism program is rapidly on the rise, and our trip to Loyola recently reflected that. Bill Siddiqui and Cameron Fleener orchestrated a video to show our experience in learning with the experts.
I'm Paula Trejo.
And I'm Cameron Fleenor.
We're from Senn High School and we're at Loyola University.
And they take all that footage, take it back to the editor. The editor sits down and looks at it and starts to cut it all together.
Being a part of the journalism program, we were able to take a trip to Loyola University's broadcast studio and got the opportunity to use their high-tech equipment and learn new journalistic techniques.
Senn High School students had the amazing opportunity to team up with Loyola University to ask people on the street about their New Year's resolutions and their perspectives on the new year. Let's take a look.
Can you tell me about your New Year's resolution?
Oh, my New Year's resolution. That's a doozy.
To be more happy and to succeed in school.
To find a good job. I want to find a job with the contact with the nature.
I wanted to work out more, and I'm going to stick with it this time.
To be more patient, and then also to be healthier.
Well, I'm perfect, so I don't really need one. But if I had to choose, no, in all honesty, my New Year's resolution this year is to wake up earlier.
My New Year's resolution is to quit smoking.
Are you trying to do it?
I don't want to say that I'm trying. I mean, I'm thinking about trying, but it's not going so well.
You guys just totally crushed this and did an awesome job. You were enthusiastic about getting the interviews. Seemed like I didn't get to go in the studio, but it seemed like everybody was really excited to be in there.
While half of the class filmed outside, the other half got to go into the broadcast studio and learn what professionals do on a daily basis.
But I have to be very cognizant of the cables on the floor.
We were able to put our anchoring skills to the test in front of those giant cameras, and we also went in the control room and learned about all the technicalities of broadcast news.
If we want to actually be in journalism in the future, it shows us what we would have to do, how we would have to work with others, interact with them, and it's a good experience for us to learn about journalism.
Senn students have the opportunity to partner up with Loyola to open a news bureau in Rogers Park to report on stories such as crime, entertainment, sports, and politics surrounding the areas of Edgewater and Rogers Park. We would be able to get paid minimum wage and $50 for every story that we publish.
You know these neighborhoods, right? You live in these neighborhoods, you work in these neighborhoods, and so this is a great kind of combination of your institutional knowledge of the stories that are going on here and the people and their ability to maybe work with you.
We had an amazing time on this field trip, and hopefully we'll have more. For Senn TV, this is Cameron Fleenor reporting.
Hey Hassan, I noticed something different about you.
Well, I've been working on the beard a little bit.
Not the beard. Here, look at your ID.
Oh, you mean this?
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've worn this, right?
Yeah. Well, in light of the recent Florida shooting, we interviewed Ms. Beck about her response in school policy. Let's cut to her now.
We have to teach all of our Senn students how to listen to each other if there's a difference of opinion, to still hear that person. You don't have to change your opinion, but you have to be able to hear the other opinion. The Florida shooting was tragic, and it's happened way too many times in the United States. Our response as a school is to just continue to support the students and the entire community that are dealing with such a tragedy, and to continue to work with everybody here in the building so that we can process our own feelings about what the magnitude of this loss means to us as a community. It absolutely has led us to reassess many of our policies and procedures, to look at who we are as a community in support of each other, so that we can avoid anything like this happening nationwide and especially locally. I think our next steps as a building is to continue the conversation. I think for too long the conversation around school shootings has been primarily at the level of adults processing it, and I don't know how and when we've given voice to students to process it. So I think my role as an administrator and our role as adults in the building is to give Senn students the space to process what they're feeling. Something I was talking with a freshman the other day who was really interested in walking out, and then some other freshmen who were very, very angry, and they said, but we can't do anything, we can't vote. And one thing we started talking about was, yes, you can't vote right now, right? You're 14, you can't vote. But in 3 years, 4 years, you can. And I think it's important that we really look at the people we're electing and the people who are currently in office, because if they want to stay in office, you will be those voters, right? And so how do we start finding the right people, not just to put into office, but who are currently in office, who can hear from you, who can help change these laws? I think when we look both as a city and then we look statewide, our laws are rather strict when it comes to gun violence. For a while, we had a lot of support around mental illness, if those are the two issues that we're targeting. I think some of that waned a little bit, but it's getting a little bit better. But I think really the work of Senn students now is to figure out nationally who are the people we need to talk to, because we can't just isolate as a city, we can't just isolate ourselves as a community, right? We need to be able to really look at what is the impact nationally and who are the people who can change those national laws. I can't tell you how you're feeling, right? And I'm only going to respond to what students are saying to me. There's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of students who are scared, and I get that. So I'm trying to create as many opportunities for those conversations. So one that's always been in place, of course, is student government, so bringing concerns to student government. We've started the Principal Advisory Committee, but then on a less formal way, being aware of the student movements that are happening. I think the most effective movements are often those that are grassroots and student-led. So there's a lot of things that I am trying to stand back on. Let students know that I support you, I support your voice, I support what you feel you need to do that's going to keep you safe, but at the same time to be heard. And there's a lot of adults in this building who I think are comfortable with those conversations.
Obviously with these incidents, it brings a lot of security concerns and safety concerns, and it puts a lot of people on the hinge. And, you know, with the recent reinforcement of our not new IDs, but
yeah, it's always been a policy.
Wearing IDs again around our necks, like how important do you think that is, and how important do you think the students should take it?
So I think it's important. I think it's a policy that's been in place. It has not been enforced by security, by teachers, by me. But I think it's a valid policy. Everybody in this building has an ID. Kids use it to enter the building. There's no reason why we shouldn't wear it all day long. I had originally, some of my thinking around IDs was, you know, we should know all our students. We shouldn't need IDs to do that. But it's bigger than that. When you go to an office, when you go anywhere downtown, when you're in college, you're expected to have your IDs at all time and wear them. Maybe not so much in college, but definitely at work, right? Like everybody who works downtown, anyone who works in an office building has a visible ID. We should be no exception to that. Another policy that I know I fight with kids in the hallway all the time is hoods being up. It's a safety issue. Wearing a hat, wearing a hood hides your face. It allows for people to hide if they want to hide. And so I think for safety issues, the hoods have to be reinforced. It's pretty good. There's probably only a handful of kids where I see consistently wearing their hoods. So I'm going to work with them to maybe find some other thing they can do that would give them the comfort of a hood, but not be a hood. Safety measures that we're taking are things that were actually in place. And so the timing is great, but hopefully it'll make people feel a little bit more secure. So we have hired a additional security guard because we were down a security guard in the beginning of the year. So we've hired an additional security guard. We've also are in the process of upgrading all our cameras, and we will be adding alarms to all our doors. Something that I think we always thought was being addressed because of the number of security guards, but we have seen, and it's happened very, very rarely, but when it does happen, it does put everybody in this building at risk, is when students open the door and let somebody in, not through the main entrance. If kids, you know, somebody decides to leave the building and come back in through door 10, that's a problem, and that puts the risk and the safety of everybody in this building at risk. I think we have an advantage at Senn where we have a really strong global curriculum, right? Like our MYP curriculum, our IB philosophy, the mission of our building is to create global-minded citizens, right? And I think our curriculum reflects that. Some is a little bit stronger than others, but there are specific subjects and specific areas throughout your education here at Senn where this conversation is absolutely valid because it's tied directly to what you're learning, right? So U.S. history right now, they're talking about race, right? Eventually that conversation will lead to current events, and current events will naturally lead to gun violence. And it'll be talked about in ways that are very much grounded in literature, right? And so I think what's important and what our job as educators is during this conversation is to not just to hear your opinions and know that you have opinions, but to make sure that you're informed on everyone's opinions. And that's the tricky part, and I think that's part of what we talk about when we watch the political shows, or we hear, you know, the right isn't listening to the left and the left isn't listening to the right. We have to teach all of our Senn students how to listen to each other if there's a difference of opinion, to still hear that person. You don't have to change your opinion, but you have to be able to hear the other opinion. Within that, we have to also continue to ground that in what the larger conversation is. So what's the literature? What's the curriculum, right? Where is this all coming from? Is there a reason why, you know, why do we have the laws that we have when it comes to gun control? There's history in that, right? So it makes sense in our curriculum. So working through that and making sure that everybody has a right to form their opinion, but it's the most informed that it could be or can be. Because ultimately, you're the ones, everybody who's graduating from Senn, you're not just going to be the voters for the next 50 years, 60 years, 100 years. You're going to be the policymakers. You're going to be the people who are helping to change these laws, hopefully once and for all, right? And so with that being said, you need to be as informed as possible, because you really are the people who are going to go out there and make this difference.
Senn recently welcomed Jennifer Lattimore of the Chicago Writers Theater for her one-woman show titled The Martin Luther King Project: The Fight for Civil Rights. Our entire freshman class was lucky enough to see this moving performance.
I have a dream that one day I won't have to write a project on Dr. King.
We saw a play about civil rights, and this one girl, what was her name, Jennifer, she did it. It was really good. She rapped and she played like many different characters, males, females.
Hey, got that right? I'm 97 years old. And if you writing a project on Dr. King, you bumped into the right person.
What I learned from Martin Luther King was always fight for your rights and never give up for what you think is right.
And I was drafted. I saw the waters of the eternal river turn from blue to red with black troops' blood. Oh, come on, say it with me. What do we want? Freedom. When do we want it? Now. That's right, again. What do we want? Freedom. When do we want it? Now. That's right, and just like that, we kept boycotting that bank till that manager decided to give us poor, rich black folks some jobs.
The movement wasn't just for black and whites. It was for every culture to come together and move against oppression.
Now, Reverend Sergeant may be old, but he's somebody. Now, if he hadn't fought for better jobs for blacks back then, we wouldn't be able to get good jobs now. Ooh, speaking of jobs, I'm on my way to the restaurant where my big cuz works.
I went ahead and followed up on an old video of mine discussing Apple and planned obsolescence. Here's my view on corporate transparency. I believe the way it all began was with the line, Apple and planned obsolescence. June 14th, 2017 was the day that my video went live about the topic of whether or not Apple was intentionally slowing down your iPhone.
Apple and planned obsolescence.
Let's take it back there for a few seconds.
Should go hand in hand with such a large and successful company? Well, I'm here to tell you the truth behind you and your iPhone. Planned obsolescence is the policy of producing consumer goods that rapidly become obsolete.
Now let me make it clear, I was not the first person to openly express my suspicions, but it does feel great to know that I was right. Peep the statement released by Apple about finally admitting what we all knew was the truth right before the dawn of 2018. To the right of me. I just find it ridiculous how they think that a good structured paragraph or two with well thought out diction will be enough to quell consumer outrage. Hundreds of YouTube videos discussing the issue ensued, and in aftermath, now Apple faces lawsuits for withholding that truth. Now some of you may ask, why is this a big deal? Well, let me explain. Apple admitted that they slowed their older model phones in order to keep the battery inside working at least at a supplemental level. That makes sense, however why not give the consumer that choice? Do you prefer battery life or speed of your iPhone? The main reason why I switched to my iPhone 6 was because of how terrible the speed of my phone got after updating, and I bought myself the iPhone 8 Plus. The shiny new phone works perfectly, but those loyal customers that have older iPhones, they're made to suffer. Some saw this as a good tactic in forcing us to buy Apple's latest and greatest. To a point, I will concur. But then again, I still see people with an iPhone 4, so they each their own. But the mass majority of us are displeased with the whole ordeal. You cannot, as a huge corporation, lie to your consumers, especially in an age where the news is power. You lie to your consumers, you lose them, and finally you lose money. This isn't a fiasco like Samsung had with a grenade-powered Galaxy Note 7, which cost them burning billions of dollars up the smoke. It's just the fact that many corporations lie to you on the daily, and that is solely on one reason: the money. Sure, you may find one company that actually loves and values their consumers, but that company is surrounded like a pin in the Atlantic Ocean. An Apple employee who ironically is a software developer spoke out against Apple when they claimed that an iOS device would be in peak condition for up to 3 years. He says, and I quote, "It's a trick. It will probably hold up in a court of life if something went out of warranty. 3 years is pretty big, but the trick is that's not what really happens from a software perspective." There you have it. Apple's very own speaking out against the actions of his employer. So don't think I'm trashing Apple when others share the same issues. To bring this all to an end, I'm not proud of Apple doing this, after years of speculation finding out that they were right. And their solution? sent an apology on our website and offered $79 replacement on the battery of that old iPhone to get it back to its usual speed. It just isn't enough for me and doesn't show any humility in my eyes. Their intention was granted and perfect, but the execution was terribly flawed. This has been Philip Johnson White, and until next time, I'll catch you intelligent people later.
Love was definitely in the air this past Valentine's Day.
Whether that be a fictional spouse, or a real spouse, or your computer, or extracurricular activities, and in an effort to spread that love, Paula Trejo went around and asked people what they did on that sentimental day.
I went around the school to interview students about what they did on Valentine's Day. Let's take a look.
For Valentine's Day, I worked because I love my students so much. I came to work at 7 a.m. and I didn't leave here till 7:15 p.m. because the boys had a basketball game against Sullivan. Fortunately, we lost, but happy Valentine's Day.
So for my day yesterday, I went on a date, you know. It was all romantic and stuff, what you could say. I got a lot of gifts, you know, a big bear. It was like bigger than me. I had to carry that home. My mom was like, what the hell are you doing with that? I was like, somebody got it for me, so, you know, and then I had some roses. It was real nice, so yeah, I enjoyed it this year. Last year's, I always spent it with my other friends, but this year was like more special, I guess, just because somebody did something for me, so it was good.
On Valentine's Day, I was chilling with some friends, and we just had a good time, single.
So I celebrated my Valentine's Day yesterday by cooking for my girlfriend. Went to the store, we cooked together when we got home from work, just kind of hung out. It's nice.
Valentine's Day, I had to work, but I got a surprise at work because this boy brought me flowers and a balloon and a big teddy bear, so I was really happy. But I'm single, so really didn't do too much. Worked. Shout out to Wingstop.
I didn't have to go to school, but I did spend it at the dentist. And the doctor literally told me Happy Valentine's Day, and we just all laughed.
I spent it with my girl, Paula Trejo.
Oh, I spent it with my mom, you know, my little brothers and sisters. I tried to spend some time with my baby, but you know, some things came up. She wasn't available. Yeah, that was how my Valentine's Day went, you know.
Let's now take it away from my partner for his daily sports report. Take it away, AJ.
Hey, I'm MOTS Philip Johnson White, and welcome back to my sports segment. This one is going to be short and sweet, so I'll start firing off the facts. The boys basketball team unfortunately bowed out of the playoffs after it had a controversial loss against Sullivan, 77-68. Blame the refs, right? Baseball season's on the way. Be sure to support them the same way you supported your winter teams. Please don't be a wave rider. There was an elementary school soccer clinic here at Senn. I hope you told your little brothers and sisters to attend that. That was on the 24th. But anyways, that was it for me. I am Philip Johnson White, and I will be catching you guys later.
Well, ladies and gents, I think it goes without saying that today's episode of Senn TV was bursting with variety. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Till next time.
Toots Magoots.
And God bless America.